September, everyone. You know what that means. Fall's coming. Yeah. Okay, fine. It's a new NFL season and everybody's excited? Sure. I guess. That's technically correct. But you know, deep down in the inner recesses and cackles of your heart, you can't wait for every September for one reason and one reason alone, because most importantly of all, it's time for another rousing rendition of a season of Bears football! Oh, you know you love it. You know you need it. And by God, you know deep down you missed me yelling it like a fucking madman. Well, you got it. And apparently, our punishment for being Bears fans, which, you know, for those of us that are Bears fans, we're stupid, so we frankly deserve the punishment. Let's be clear here. The punishment from the NFL and the network size is, let's put the Bears in prime time. What could possibly go fucking wrong here? Why do you hate us so? The first game of the season and you're going to put Bears football on prime time on Monday night? Oh, Christ. I got to sit there and run the risk of being up till 11:30 or midnight on Monday, suffering through 3+ hours of Bears football, knowing I'm staring down the barrel of having to wake up at like 4:30 in the fucking morning. Golly. All right. Oh, well, such is life. But the NFL season is here. It's time to kick off, and we've got the first Monday Night Football matchup of the season. The Minnesota Vikings traveling to Soldier Field. That piece of crap. Third-rate stadium looks like a UFO took a huge hulk of crap inside the Roman Coliseum and said, hey, let's give shitty sight lines and everything about this is stupid! To take on the Bears. So when you look at the Minnesota Vikings, last season was probably a pleasant surprise, 14-3. Got kind of a renaissance out of Sam Darnold, if you will. Kevin O'Connell, Coach of the Year. An aggressive defense with an attacking style, especially with the way he leveraged blitzes under defensive coordinator Brian Flores. All of that just to turn around and have a very ugly loss in the wild card round to the Rams. The team spent the offseason really focused on addressing the trenches. You could tell they felt that this was a clear deficiency, a clear gap for them, and they needed to fix it. So they went out in free agency, signed Will Freese and Ryan Kelly away from the Indianapolis Colts. And then they drafted Donovan Jackson from Ohio State in round 1. So 3 new starters on the interior of that offensive line. On the defensive line, they signed Javon Hargrave and then also Jonathan Allen, so adding more beef in the middle of that defense. They're also looking at a situation with no Jordan Addison for the first 6 weeks of the season due to suspension. But most importantly of all for the season, above all else, it's great that they address the trenches on both sides of the ball. That's important. But it's J.J. McCarthy's season. It's J.J. McCarthy's time. After missing all of last year due to an injury, he's back, and it's his first real chance and under the bright lights of national television to show what he's got, show what he's all about, show what he can do. So I have to imagine for Vikings fans, this is a bit of an exciting time because all that wondering, wishing, wanting to know, you're going to find out soon enough. Meanwhile, for the Bears, we know how last season went down. It started off okay, 4-2 heading into the bye, and then became an unmitigated disaster after the Hail Maryland play. Mercifully, Matt Eberflus was sent packing after the Lions game at Thanksgiving. Could only bear so much embarrassment in one season. This team in the offseason was able to go get the top candidate on the head coaching market, and Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. Now he's in the fold. Like the Vikings, the Bears were incredibly aggressive in addressing the trenches in the offseason, made trades for Joe Thuney and Jonah Jackson to address both guard spots, and then went out and signed Drew Dahlman from the Falcons in free agency. So again, similar type of thing, right? Vikings addressed the interior of their offensive line. The Bears did the exact same thing. Then the Bears addressed their defensive line, signing Grady Jarrett away from the Atlanta Falcons, and Dayo Odeyingbo from the Indianapolis Colts. They also spent second-round picks on Ozzie Trapillo and Shamar Turner, so addressing the future of one of your tackle spots and then hoping that Turner can turn into somebody on that defensive line as a starter, whether it's on the interior as kind of a power edge in Dennis Allen's scheme. The Bears also drafted Colston Loveland and Luther Burden with their first 2 picks in the draft. Clearly a thought process around getting more speed and athleticism and skill in their skill position groups on offense. So big approach, big philosophy here for the Bears was building around Caleb Williams, but also needing to build up the defense as well. As we head into this week 1 matchup, you look at the injury report, the Vikings look pretty clean. Like I mentioned before, Jordan Addison's suspended for the first 6 games, so he won't be in action. But it sure seems like it's trending towards left tackle Christian Darrisaw and safety Harrison Smith both playing for this team. I'm recording this on Saturday morning, so it could be possible designations change. We're still a couple days out, but that's the way it's looking right now. Meanwhile, for the Bears, as I record this, sure seems like TJ Edwards and Roschon Johnson are trending towards being inactive, with maybe Jalen Johnson and Kyle Monangai being questionable, but leaning a little more towards playing. Again, that could change. I don't know, but if you look at that, you say the loss of Roschon is probably bigger than the loss of TJ Edwards, but you really hope Jalen Johnson will be able to play on Monday night. In terms of the Vegas odds, the Vikings are 1.5-point favorites here. The over-under is 44. And I don't really know what to make of the line in this case because on the one hand, yes, the Vikings won 14 games last year, but on the other hand, it's not exactly the same team. They're starting J.J. McCarthy, who's never made an NFL start, whereas Caleb Williams has 17 NFL starts. This is also at home, so you would think the Bears would be favored, but then you also got to deduct several points because until proven otherwise, we're talking about Bears football in primetime. That's at least a 2-touchdown fucking deficit from Jump Street. Hope to God it's different under Ben Johnson. So it's interesting that the money's moving towards the Vikings right now. Keys to victory here for Minnesota. Attack Braxton Jones. He stinks. Go at him. Blitz heavy on him. You got to get after it. You got to get Caleb uncomfortable. Go at Braxton Jones. If you do, you should have some form of success. Attack the Bears in the passing game over the middle. I'm really concerned about how well they're going to be able to cover or not cover over the middle of the field. And we saw some of that certainly in the preseason, both the starters and the second unit. Go at them over the middle. The film should have shown that they're vulnerable there. And then in terms of offensively for the Vikings, J.J. McCarthy needs to avoid turning the ball over. Play clean football on the road as a young quarterback, and you'll keep your team in position where they have a chance to win it. Meanwhile, for the Chicago Bears, I think it's a couple of things. Give Caleb Williams quick, decisive, one-read throws early on to get him into a rhythm, get him in the flow of things, build his confidence up. Shade help over to Braxton Jones and frankly Darnell Wright. One flaw of this Bears offense last year was they love to put both of their offensive tackles on an island an awful lot, which if you've got elite offensive tackles, that's great. But the Bears have Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright. Neither one of them are elite, and certainly Braxton Jones is a clear step below Darnell Wright, in my opinion. So shade some help to him. Defensively, they need Montez Sweat and Grady Jarrett to be disruptive, be presences, actually know that they're playing. They got to be able to turn up the heat, get some pressure on J.J. McCarthy to mask some of the potential challenges with the coverage unit, etc., etc. Now, I know a lot of Bears fans are going to focus on the Tyler Dunn series of articles that came out over the past couple of days about Caleb Williams and the coaching staff and the front office and all that went down last year, reportedly, allegedly, presumably somewhat at least accurate. This is the only time I'm going to address it or talk about it or react to it, frankly. The simple answer is I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Would it surprise me that Caleb has some diva tendencies? Absolutely fucking not. Would it surprise me that maybe his work ethic wasn't the best last year? Absolutely not. And I think you look at his play sometimes, and especially with the lack of downfield accuracy, you would say he clearly wasn't working very well on that. Would it surprise me that the coaching staff was a hot fucking mess and a disaster? Absolutely not. Would it surprise me that Ryan Poles is kind of an idiot? Gee, imagine that. So it's like, you don't need an article to tell you what the fuck your eyes should already be telling you. And to all those Bears fans that are getting their panties in a bunch about this, who gives a fuck? Real talk. Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? That is such a Bears football thing to do. Let me worry about this
Packer fan writing an article about my team and my quarterback. Who gives a shit?
The only thing that matters will be the performance on the field. And if you look back after this season and Caleb Williams wasn't good and he looks like he's not the guy, then you can point back to that article and say, yeah, we should have paid attention to it. Those were warning signs. Those were red flags. It gave us some insight looking back. But if he plays well, then that shit doesn't matter. And what sometimes happens is when employees have to deal with bad people leaders, bad management, bad leadership, they perform badly and develop bad habits. And when they work with good leadership, good management, good leaders, they try harder. They do better. You see this all the fucking time. It's not a surprise. Good leaders motivate people. Good leaders help others find their kind of intrinsic and extrinsic motivations. They create accountability and double back to that accountability. That feels like something that Ben Johnson is about. But again, we also don't know about him. He ain't proven shit. I'm excited he's the head coach. I'm glad he's the head coach. But it is all about put up and shut up time now because the regular season is fucking here. So we'll see if this ends up being any type of distraction or is it just more of a hype that a lot of fucking Bears fans are whining and crying about that doesn't mean two hella beans in the grand scheme of things. I certainly hope it's the latter and think it possibly is. But as I look at this matchup, I don't know what to make of it. You know, with all the history of Bears football in primetime, there may be absolutely no reason to pick the Bears to win this fucking game. But then you got the Vikings, effectively a rookie quarterback making his first career start. Like, how confident can you be that he's going to come out of the gates guns blazing? There's certainly a chance that this could be a pretty ugly game on Monday night, which would be so fitting and appropriate, and the punishment that America needs and fucking deserves at this point. But it's a new season. I'm going to believe this week in Ben Johnson at least. God damn it. He's going to get more out of Caleb Williams. The defense will do just enough. And they're going to fucking win this one 20-16. Skull up your ass, Vikings fans. It's time to bear down!